and things like that. So this is a subject that I know well. I'd like to look at the causes, and they're kind of multifaceted and difficult to determine sometimes as to which one might affect you or a combination of thereof. Number one, I think food allergies. You've got to find out what foods you're allergic to anytime you have any type of skin conditions. And that, in addition, not just food allergies, but chemical allergies, irritants. If you go into a department store and smell perfume and it causes you to get itchy, you got to determine what you're allergic to. Now, with food allergies, there's a 99 food panel that can be done where they take your blood, they run what items, and we look at the serum IgE. That's how your body responds to food as a chemical within it. And they can test it and find out whether you're sensitive, like in my case, to eggs, milk, soy, wheat, all those kinds of things. Heredity as well, because our ability and our immune system's ability to respond or over-respond is definitely genetically passed on. And this is a condition in which if one or more parents or grandparents, generally, you're going to have it. You're going to have a good chance of having it, provided the other factors come into play. Stress. Stress. When people are extremely stressed, they're very acidic. And when the body gets acidic, it allows things like yeast, your immune system gets suppressed, everything gets out of balance. That can cause eczema to come to light. Especially when you have nutrient deficiencies, which primarily when we see fatty acid deficiencies, the lack of good fats in the diet. You don't know how many times I've asked people, do you eat nuts and avocados and things? And most of them say, yeah, I eat peanuts. Well, peanuts aren't nuts, they're legumes, number one. Number two, they're not eating any of the other good fats in their diet. They're eating tons of inflammatory fats that raise arachidonic acid inflammation. And so what happens then is they'll get eczema, skin condition, joint pain. It shows itself in a lot of different ways. So we need to have more good fats in our diet. Walnuts, almonds, pecans, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, avocados, fish, and less of the saturated fats that you're going to get in milk and dairy and meat source fats. So looking for the leaner cuts of meat. A balanced immune system. What you're going to find is in the immune system issue, the immune system gets decreased, which the white blood cells decrease down, which in turn, your ability to deal with prostaglandin and these bad fats rises. And then your ability to metabolize and use the good fats lowers. So we got to get immune system regulated as best we can with proper nutrition and dietary supplements as well too. So if you're going to have a immune problem, chances are good it's going to end up showing itself somewhere on your skin eventually. Yeast and candida infections. With all the sugar intake, all the junk intake that I'm seeing everybody, I have more kids coming now with eczema than I've ever seen before. And what that means eventually, since their immune system is chronically having to react and respond to all this yeast and bacteria and all of that, it eventually could make the immune system become an autoimmune system problem, where the immune system doesn't know how to regulate itself, especially if there's nutritional deficiencies. Use of antibiotics and steroids. Like they gave me when I had eczema, or I had antibiotics when I had bad bronchitis. They never gave me the good bacterias, so my body, when all the antibiotics destroyed a good portion of my good bacterias, my immune system could no longer modulate and regulate. So therefore, using the antibiotics or the steroids, particularly like for asthma and those types of disorders, and prednisone, that are used oftentimes for people that have chronic allergies, Benadryl, all those kinds of things can cause a yeast overgrowth and a destruction of your good bacteria, which in turn can cause eczema. And other skin disorders such as psoriasis, if you've ever seen people with those patchy things on their elbows and their knees, psoriasis. Now, when we also look at how the body gets rid of its toxins, through the liver, through the skin, through the bowel, a lot of people are not having adequate amounts of bowel movements. They're not going. I have people come in and say, I only go once every 5 days, and I'm like horrified, because you're supposed to be having a bowel movement twice a day, at least 2 or 3 times a day. I'm not talking loose, I'm talking regular bowel movements. If the body doesn't detoxify, you reabsorb all these toxins, and guess what? It's going to use the skin to get rid of the toxins. When we're talking about diet, when a person has eczema or for prevention of eczema or keeping eczema from coming back, we've got to have lots of good water. 8 ounces every day. 8 ounces every 2 hours you'll want to have. You're going to avoid the allergy-producing food. So if you know that you're sensitive to some sort of food, please stay away from it. And I'll give a list here of some of the foods that can cause an issue with it. But eating fatty acid foods such as nuts, flax seeds, all the avocados, what I talked about earlier, walnuts, almonds, pecans. Those good fats increase prostaglandin 1 production, which enables you to deflame, to bring down inflammation. Lots of veggies. Remember how I talked about the acid alkali? A lot of people are under stress and they're too acidic. Well, if we can alkali the blood with lots of good fruits and vegetables, and you can go online and punch in alkaline producing foods, you can get a good gist of what things are alkaline producing and eat more of those. And this goes whether or not you have arthritis, gout, any inflammatory or any pain. Alkaline the body is very, very important. Eating lots of cultured or sour products like sauerkraut, they're lactic acid inducing. So kefir, probiotics, those types of things to maintain the bacteria levels. Very, very important to maintain overall health and detoxification of the bowel. Now when we're talking about foods to avoid, this is a hard one, particularly if you're not like me and you're not just shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, but you're adding all these crackers and all the stuff that are full of chemicals, non-organic junk, you're going to have problems. So you got to eliminate all foods that have additives, chemicals. If you read the box and you don't know what it is or you can't find out what it is, please don't buy it if you have any skin issues. Eliminate all foods that cause allergies, as I mentioned before, and have those blood panel tests so you know what foods to avoid. Do not eat saturated fats or solid fats. That means fats that at air temperature are solid. So that would be your French fry fats, that would be your meat fats, any of types of fats that solidify, your bacon fats, mostly meat fats and saturated fats. They interfere with your fatty acid metabolism in the liver and throughout the body, and therefore raise your inflammation, and you're not going to be able to deal with the inflammatory aspects of eczema. Avoid sugar, spicy foods, dairy, caffeine, strawberries, believe it or not, chocolate, alcohol, and soy products, in addition to the foods that you might be allergic to. For some reason, these seem to feed more eczema as far as inflammation is concerned, so try to avoid them. When we're talking about supplements, there's not a whole lot actually, because a lot of it has to do with diet. Essential fatty acids, those good fats in the diet, the nuts I talked about, well, there's also supplements that can be very helpful that I know I use that are helpful for reduction of inflammation. A couple of tablespoons of flax oil a day, or at least a tablespoon of fish oil a day where you're getting at least 1.8 grams of EPA, which works out to about a tablespoon of fish oil a day, and there's some good tasting ones out there that can really help reduce eczema as well as psoriasis. Borage or evening primrose oil. We're talking about a balance between omega-3s and omega-6s, and borage oil is a natural plant source of omega-6, which can help stabilize hormones and help with the healing on the skin. Ester C with bioflavonoids. Eczema can leave scars because it's pretty deep within the skin. So keeping the vitamin C levels help the collagen matrix, and they help the skin tissue to repair. So keeping C always up, whether you're talking about skin conditions, aging, anything that involves tissue that is collagen based, you always keep C levels up. Enzymes. Now a lot of